Hola, bienvenidos, bienvenidos, welcome. You should repeat everything I say in Spanish at least a dozen times once I've said it. So, bienvenidos, welcome. I want to talk to you a little bit about my philosophy and why I'm teaching you. I am hotter than hell right now because it is the summer in Florida, and I'm out here on my screen porch that I built off of my kitchen. Not complaining, but I'm out here because COVID-19 is a real motherfucker. Wait a second. I hope you're not recording this because I don't want to have anyone say I said motherfucker. Anyway, so bienvenidos. Bienvenidos. Notice how the V and the B sound the same. Bienvenidos. There's no difference in Spanish between those two sounds. Now, welcome to the class. I'm going to teach you how to speak Spanish, and that's because I use what's called a communicative approach. And the reason I'm doing that is because I believe that all of you, just like I was back when I was in 7th grade or in 9th grade or in 10th grade when I gave up learning Spanish, I wanted to communicate, be able to communicate with people who speak Spanish. Now, I didn't understand. I thought at the time I was really bad at language because I had already taken Spanish for 4 years. 4 years. Can you imagine that? And the reason why I couldn't speak Spanish is because I was not taught with a communicative approach. I was taught with the oldest approach, which was translation method, and that was used throughout the Middle Ages, into the Renaissance, and into the 20th century. And what that meant is that you looked up words and you translated sentences from the language you were learning into your own language. Now, you can see that if all you're doing is using a dictionary or Google Translate, how is that going to make it possible for you to actually talk to people? So that method was really a failure. Now, I am happy to say, well, most languages, the first dictionaries that were written in the Western world were because of the translation method. They all translated from one language to another. But I'm happy to tell you that Spanish is the language responsible for the very first dictionary that was monolingual, meaning that it was a dictionary not meant for this translation method, which was ridiculous, and it was called La Lengua Española o Castellana. And that was written by a man named Covarrubias. This is written about 1600, okay? Now, Covarrubias, if you look at that dictionary, the majority of the dictionary is from letters A through G. And then he started writing things like, I hope I live long enough to be able to write this dictionary. And luckily he completed it. But seriously, A through G is the first half of the dictionary. So he had to edit himself because he was getting older. But he understood and appreciated his own tongue. The tongue, Spanish or Castilian. La lengua española castellana. Anytime I speak Spanish, you should repeat that about 12 times. La lengua, the tongue, language. La lengua española o castellana. Now, the next method to develop was from World War II, and that was called audiolingual. which literally means sound to tongue or sound to speaking, audiolingual. Now, that was great. The military used that and developed it in order to train our soldiers for World War II when we were invading all these different countries in the world. And that's a good method if you know exactly what that person is going to be required to do, such as, say, things like, stop, hands up, lay down on the ground, you're under arrest. But that led to the way I was taught, which was translation and audiolingual, things like to memorize dialogues, such as, hola, Pepe, look at the bird. Hi, Pepe, look at the bird. Yes, isn't the bird beautiful? Yes, it's a great day. And how are you today? I'm great. The sun is shining. Can you imagine even having a conversation like that? It was ridiculous. Okay, so I don't do this. What I do is I will teach you how to communicate with other people, such as, and you should write this down or pause it so that you can write it down as time goes on. I will teach you useful phrases along with information about the Spanish language, such as hola. Hola, me llamo Warren. Hola, me llamo Warren. So that would be like this. Let me get a different pen for you. It's pronounced this way. Hola, me llamo Warren. So that's phonetically how it sounds. Hola, me llamo, and then put your name in. Hola, not hola. The doesn't exist in Spanish. That's the glottal stop. We don't have that in Spanish, and that's why English speakers tend to think that Spanish is spoken so quickly, because they don't pause between each word. They actually just say all the words together. So, one more time. Hola, me llamo, and then put your name in there. Here's another phrase that will be useful for you. Yo vivo en Williston. And yo vivo en Williston. So you notice that it's not vivo, it's vivo. Yo vivo en Williston. Yo vivo en Williston. And this means I live in wherever it is that you live in. And if you can say that, then you're able to say two things about yourself. I'm going to teach you a bunch of other things to be able to say about yourself so you can introduce yourself to people. So, and that's what I'm talking about with a communicative approach, so that you can hear and speak and understand. All right? So, hola, me llamo. And this, just so you notice this, that double L is a Y sound. Hola, me llamo. Hola, me llamo. Hola, me llamo Teresa. Hola, me llamo Warren. Hola, me llamo Scott, etc., etc., etc. And yo vivo en Williston. I live in Williston. Let's do a few more of these phrases. By the way, this will be your first assignment to send to me on video, since we do have COVID-19 and I can't get together face to face with you, which I would really like to do. Alright, so my screen turned off, but I guess it's still turned on. Alright, so now we'll say where we're from. Alright, this phrase is yo soy de, and then you fill in the blank, which is where you're from. For example, so I am from, okay, so yo soy de Williston, yo soy de Salt Lake City, Utah, which is where I am from, and which is interesting, because why the hell would I be speaking Spanish when I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, where there were hardly any Spanish speakers. Probably during the time I was born until I was an adult, maybe 3%. Now it's much more diverse, which is a good thing, right? Anyway, so you'll learn this. Yo soy de. Yo soy de. So just like soybeans, yo soy de. Now the most important thing in pronouncing Spanish is learning how to pronounce the vowels. And so this is how you pronounce the vowels. A, E, A, O, U. So repeat that with me. A, E, A, O, U. And if you pronounce those syllables, those vowels, los vocales, the vowels, in that way, people will be able to understand you, because you don't want to have to sit there and repeat yourself over and over and over again. You just want to be able to say something like this. O, oi, de. De. O, and this oi right here, where you have O and I at the same time, oi. Alright, even though that says a Y there, it's just because you can't put a bunch of vowels together. Alright, so yo soy de Salt Lake. Now let me find my rag, and we'll do some more. Make sure you write this down so you can practice it. A, E, A, O, U. Okay, now we have the phrase me gusta, which would be like this. Me gusta. Okay, so me gusta. This is how we say what we like in Spanish. So, and it's different than in English, because really it literally says, it pleases me. So this is literally, it pleases me. You can see how Spanish is reverse of English, and guess what Spanish speakers say about English? Why is it en reverso? English is in reverse for speakers of Spanish as well. So you're not the only ones wondering what the hell is going on here. Alright? So here you can put different activities in. Me gusta trabajar, for example. Now this J right there makes an H sound. Me gusta trabajar. It pleases me to work. Or in English, we would say, I like working. Or it pleases me cocinar. Repite, repeat, repite. Me gusta cocinar. and that would be to cook. Now notice that C right there says a k sound, but the C that's before the I says an S sound, just like in English. For example, clock or nice. When there's an E after the C, it ends up with an S sound. Okay? Or if there's a Y after the C, for example, cyclops, that's spelled. So there is that I sounding vowel right there, which is called the Greek I, by the way. Cyclops. So, me gusta cocinar. Cocinar. And that would be like this. Cocinar. Me gusta cocinar. Me gusta cocinar. Now, in your book, in chapters 1 and chapter 2, there are a bunch of verbs there, which are action words, right? Where you can fill in the blank there. You're going to have to say at least 6 things to me on video about what you like to do. And you will use this, me gusta, me gusta. All right? Let me erase some of this and get it off of here. All right, so you probably want to talk about your family when you're getting introduced to people, I imagine. And so you should say something like this. Yo tengo familia bonita. I have a family beautiful. Now, obviously, for some of you, you don't have a beautiful family. And so you could say something like, yo tengo familia fea, which would mean ugly. Or you could say something like, yo tengo familia pequeña. Now, pequeña means small. And notice how that QU right there doesn't say qua like in English, like quick, or quietly, or quietude, or quintessential. That QU says k in Spanish. So, yo tengo familia pequeña, pequeña. And you're noticing that this N right there says an N-Y sound. Pequeña, pequeña. And let me just write that in black so that you can see it for sure. Pequeña. Now, you could also say that you have a large family like I do. So, if I was saying this, yo tengo familia grande. And grande, obviously, if you've shopped at the coffee shops and you want a grande, you know what grande means, a big family. Because I could also say, yo tengo 9 hermanos. I have 9 brothers and sisters. Y es verdad. It's the truth. It's the truth. Because then I could say, yo tengo 4 hermanos y 5 hermanas. So I have 4 brothers and 5 sisters. Notice how hermanos, it ends in an O, os. Hermanas ends in an A, as. If it ends in an O in Spanish, that is feminine, and if it ends in an A, if it ends in an O in Spanish, it means masculine. If it ends in an A, it means feminine. And that's not because Spanish is a sexist language. That's because how Latin was. And Latin is the mama of a bunch of languages. So, and you can take notes on this. I'd appreciate it, or I can write it on the board too. But Latin is the mama of Español, so Spanish, Francés, French, Italiano, Italian, Francés, French, Catalan, and Provincial, provincial, and Romano, which is the language spoken in Romania. And there are many, many other languages that Latin is the mama for. Latin is not the language, the mama of English. It's just that the English language developed during the time when Latin was considered the educated language. And so that's what scientists and scholars wrote in. And English was happy to accept all sorts of Latinate words. So we have those few phrases I've given you. Yo tengo familia, and describe your family. Yo tengo, tell me how many brothers and sisters you have. Then let me give you some more.